Oh, is there anybody named Alexander here? Or Elena?
Actually, like my boyfriend, he has it as a middle name, Alexander.
Okay, so
It's
he's halfway here. Did anybody recently get married? Did anybody had a birthday 6 months ago? 3 months ago? Did you have your birthday 3 months ago? When? Okay. This June? Happy belated happy birthday. And do you guys feel odd about me asking this question? Like, we are here for a presentation and I'm poking your privacy. So that's our right. Like, nobody should have the right to poke your privacy. And I represent Status App, and we are building the future of unstoppable communications. That includes like saving your privacy. That includes giving you the right to be in secret, to do what you want to do. Around 1945, humans in general stopped fighting major wars. There was war like the World War, and then it stopped. Then we had this Cold War between Russia and US. Then it finally subsided, and money became the way to exert control. Because if somebody can control your money, they can control what they do with your lives. Because they can create a class barrier. They could create a system where you do not have access to things. They could create fight. They could create propaganda. They could give you anxiety because you cannot buy grocery because somebody decided to print more money. And people who were building Bitcoin, there was a group called cypherpunks around 1990s. They saw this happening and they wanted to fix it. They wanted the control of money to be with the people, not with the state. So they started working on this project, and there was no clear agenda, and there were multiple projects that came out of that group. If you have heard of Julian Assange and WikiLeaks, it came out of the cypherpunks group. If you have heard of BitTorrent, it came out of the same group. Bitcoin came out of the same group, but there were some theoretical flaws until 2008. So Bitcoin was conceptualized in 1992, 1993, maybe 94. But until 2008, we did not have a working version. When Bitcoin came around, it gave us two major things. It gave us identity and it gave us settlement. So you could have your own identity. You don't need a bank to talk to somebody. And when you want to send money to your mother or to your father or to your girlfriend, you don't have to tell the bank that this is your phone number, this is your address, this is your passport. You can just create a mathematical key and send money on a decentralized network. So they took control back, or they wanted to take control back. But the problem is, when Bitcoin was being formulated, the internet did not exist. The phones as we know it did not exist until 2006, 2007. There was no concept of social media. There was no concept of mass propaganda, and people only cared about their relative surroundings. They did not care about what was happening in the rest of the world because it did not matter. I was not connected. I could only see my neighbors. And the fight changed from the ground to money to your mind. Your mind became the new battlefield because now they can control ideas. Now they can spread propaganda. And internet became the mode of control. Because if somebody can see you, if somebody can notice your behavior, they can somehow alter it. And we see this happening with corporates where you are forced into buying stuff because you're exposed to so many advertisements. You can be singled out because people can see what is happening. People can identify you from your fingerprints. Your phone is always tracking you. You use Instagram to track yourself. So all of that becomes a system of control because somebody, an actor with enough access and intent, can create an identity of you and then spread propaganda. Advertisement is propaganda. They can divide societies. They can make you hate yourself. They can make you accept things that are not natural. And that's how the control is established now. It's the internet that is being used. I'm not saying that money has gone away. Money is still also a big source to establish control. But internet is equal or bigger, in my opinion. So around 2016, there was this weird boy named Vitalik Buterin who used to work for BTC media houses. And he came up with the idea of a self-sovereign internet. In 2016, we were very close to, in terms of technology, where we are right now. So we had major IMs, we had major chat platforms, we had major B2B systems, our cargo, etc., were all automated. And he saw that there are multiple aspects of a digital identity that needs to be decentralized. So Bitcoin gave us identity and settlement, but Ethereum gave us 3 more things. Ethereum said that you cannot just settle money, you can settle anything. So there were arbitrary contracts that you could use to settle anything that you wish. For example, you could settle stocks in the form of ICOs. You could settle art deals in the form of NFTs. You could settle buying a home in the form of RWAs, or you could tokenize a bond and sell it to people who cannot buy it. You could tokenize the Hong Kong Stock Exchange and sell it in Indonesia. That's what Ethereum enabled. But there were 2 more things that we don't talk about. That was Whisper and Swarm. Swarm was a form of blob storage. So if anybody knows S3, if anybody has used Google Drive, it was a way to store large files, photos, videos on-chain in a decentralized way. And Whisper was a form of peer-to-peer communication. So it was a gossip-based protocol, and I'll talk about it later, that Ethereum promised to bring. And with gossip, you could have private communications that nobody could censor. But unfortunately, Ethereum found its product market fit in the financial markets. So Uniswap blew up, a lot of DEXs blew up, ICOs blew up, RWAs are blowing up right now. And these 2 aspects, the Swarm and Whisper, were either abandoned or completely ignored. So Swarm is still existent, but has been taken over by other projects like IPFS, Arweave, Codex, maybe there are a few more decentralized storage systems. And Whisper was completely abandoned. It was 2 years ago when they published the last commit on the repository. And since then, they have not done anything. We, as a messenger, as Status, we relied heavily on Whisper. So like a normal open source company, we would help them, we would fix their bugs, and we would introduce major features. But when they stopped working and when the direction went away, we had to fork Whisper, and Whisper became Waku. So Waku now is the decentralized communications network that is similar to Whisper, but we fixed a lot of problems that Whisper had, mainly related to spam, related to sharding, related to scaling. And we adopted this because we relied heavily on it. And we made it open and permissionless. So anybody can participate in it, anybody can run their nodes, and anybody could improve the software if they want to. Now, in order to understand why do we need decentralized communication, why do we need decentralized messaging, we have to see our usage behaviors. Is there anybody here who does not use any messenger? Telegram or Instagram or WhatsApp? Is anybody here young enough to not know what a telegram meant? A telegram was not the app. A telegram was a piece of paper that used to go out. But the next generation, if you are 16 right now, you would not know what a telegram actually meant. But this technology is very deep, so we have to understand it in order to make it unstoppable. So we have to see how can you censor it, how can you stop it. And let's see a world where there is no encryption. The cypherpunks did not exist, we did not have PGP, and we are just sending plain text messages to the world. So the blue client, suppose, wants to talk to the yellow client, and I want to send a message. There's a server or a service in the center, which could be any messenger, Telegram, WhatsApp, Instagram, and these grayed out nodes are your ISPs, because when you connect to the internet, you need a service provider. It could be your phone service provider, and the service provider of your phone will need a bigger service provider till the point you reach the fiber lines under the sea, and then the message reaches a server, and then it reaches the client. And in this topology, everybody, every node in the network could see the messages you are sending. So the way I was asking questions when I started this talk, everybody would just know. And you wouldn't even notice that your information is being leaked, your conversations are being leaked. So we are all engineers, and I think there's an easy solution to it. If we don't want people to see what is the message being sent, what do we do? We can use VPN, but you can still see the content.
We go back to telegrams.
You go back to Telegram, yes, but that's quite expensive.
My idea is that we can use blockchain to decentralize social media, but in other way, blockchain tracks every record ever made, every action ever made.
You have to like hold a little bit because you just went a few steps ahead. We'll get there, but there is a simpler step in between. Encrypt. Yes, encrypt. Just encrypt the message. Yeah. If you encrypt the message, nobody could see it. When I start the message, I encrypt it and it goes through all these nodes and nobody could see it. So the problem of communications is solved. Now we have decentralized communications that are unstoppable. The talk is over. Thank you for coming. But is it? Yes. Whenever you send an encrypted message, there is enough information available on the packet itself to figure out the intent. For example, if at 3 a.m. I'm sending a message to a hospital, then the content of the message doesn't matter. Because if somebody can see that a message is going from me to a hospital, they can figure out with enough certainty that maybe I'm sick or somebody that I love is sick. And if you connect that with other data that I generate, for example, I generate my location. Maybe I'm posting a picture. Maybe I'm sharing my real-time GPS coordinates with my brother. With all that data and my search history, it is possible to figure out the intent of the messages without reading the content of it. So we have to go one step further. Like, how do we go one step further? There are two problems with encryption. Like, when we start encrypting, we run into two major problems: metadata leak, as this gentleman suggested, and also key management. Because if you are encrypting data, you also need to manage your keys. But normal users are not used to key management. Because if I tell somebody that if you lose this random number, which is 64 characters long, all your messages are going to go away, all your money is going to go away, that is scary. Like, people don't want that. So what services tend to do is manage keys for you. Like Telegram and WhatsApp and all the famous messengers that you know have a backdoor because they manage their keys for you, your keys for you. It gives you better UX, but then you have to tie your identity to them. So you need to give them your phone number, you need to give them your email, and you go back to ground zero where Bitcoin started. The Bitcoin wanted to give your identity to you, but if you use these encrypted messengers, you leave your keys with them, and they can have these backdoors, they can do whatever they want with your data. Most messengers just stop here, like they don't go any step further. I took this screenshot with a chat with my friend Bradley, and they clearly say that they cannot read anything. But then I went to the terms of services, and they said they have access to everything you upload to their service. And I don't know how they get away with it, but that's the case right now. So status comes into this picture and tries to solve the problem with an exceptional UX, because we feel that with good UX, you can just get more people in. And that's why I have this slide with beautiful icons, because my designer wanted me to like have a proper slide so that encourages people to join in. We start with exceptional UX, but we give you your keys. We are not fishy about it. We will tell you upfront that this is a private messenger where you own the keys. And then we fix the metadata protection with the Waku protocol that we acquired, that we forked from the Ethereum Foundation. Key management is slightly tricky. I don't know if we have enough time for that, but if anybody is familiar with Ethereum's peer discovery process, it's called DiskV4. We use a similar key management system. I can send you some links, but I'll skip it in this talk. And there are peer discovery tables similar to a router. Whenever you want to reach a website, your router has a table to the ISP, and you keep hopping until you find the address of the website. Our status uses something similar, but this protocol is just outside the scope of this talk. It's probably a 1-hour talk on its own, so I'll skip this. And metadata protection happens on Waku. This is more juicy, like this is what we do, this is what we are proud of. At the base of it, there is a protocol or a system, a family of protocols called Gossip Sub. And with Gossip Sub, you can talk to a node, a decentralized network of nodes to send your messages, and we'll see some demos. And in principle, we are open and open source. Why do I use these two words? We are open source because our code is actually open source and anybody can contribute to it. But we are open because anybody can participate in the network. So you can decide to be a node runner and you can facilitate the transfer of messages. And there's no permission needed. You don't have to talk to us. You can just start running our software and you start facilitating the messages. Now let's see the Waku network. So earlier we had this server, a central entity, and a lot of nodes where you were sending the messages. Now there is no centralized server. You have your own keys. They are in your own home. And there's a network of nodes that are running the Waku software. Every planet that is grayed out is running the Waku software. And we'll run the same scenario. Imagine that the blue node wants to send a message to the yellow node. What the blue node will do is just broadcast the message onto the network. And if you see the orange line back there, that orange line has some metadata. Because the first node will know the IP address of the blue client. It would know the time that the message was sent, and maybe some more information. But as soon as the message reaches the first node, we strip the metadata, and then we broadcast and propagate it in the network. So the green lines is the same message being broadcasted, but without the metadata. So there is protection of metadata because it's unlikely that all your messages will go to the same node and your IP address would be leaked. After that is done, we do one more tricky thing. We add entropy to the system. So a message was intended for the yellow client, but we also sent it to the orange client, maybe to 5 other connected clients. And we do this so that an external observer cannot see what is happening. If you were an external observer just looking at the network information, you cannot confirm who was the intended recipient of the message. Even with thousands and thousands of messages, you can never confirm who was the actual recipient. And at the level of the recipient, in this case yellow, the message could only be opened by them because it was encrypted for their key. That's how we ensure that the message reaches at the right place. We add entropy and we remove all the metadata. If somebody is privacy conscious, you might think that it's very similar to Matrix. Element, Matrix is the protocol that is decentralized. Element is the messenger on top of it. And yes, it is quite similar, but there is one major difference, that is identity. So with Matrix, your identity is managed by special identity servers, and they are connected to your real-world identity. So you need an email or a Google Mail or a phone number to sign up. And these identity servers become the honeypot. If somebody wants to attack you, they can just attack the identity server and figure out information about you, tie it back to you. I would say, in principle, in philosophy, we are similar. We are solving similar problems. We work together sometimes, like Status, Waku, and Matrix works together sometimes. But our approaches are different. We are crypto first, we are extendable, we are permissionless, and we are just not a messenger. You could use the same protocol to send other messages. You could connect robots on the same network. You could send notifications on the same network because you can program it. That's not very easy with Matrix. So I have a demo here, and I want all of you to download the app if you can. And my team said not to do this, like not to show a real demo on stage, but I'm going to say I have to, because otherwise it becomes boring. You can search for this app, and you have to go in, you have to sign up. And while you are signing up, I'll explain some of the problems that we have with a decentralized system. So if a messenger is completely decentralized, you run into multiple issues. Like you would have spam issues because it's permissionless and it's open, so anybody can start spamming the network and your network will go down. You would run into scaling issues because what if 50,000 clients connect to the same node? The node will die. There are issues with the order of messages. If I send you, hello, how are you doing? Let's go for a coffee. And you receive, let's go for a coffee. How are you doing? Hello. It would sound odd. But because the messages are traversing through multiple nodes, the network cannot guarantee the order of delivery. So that becomes a huge problem. There's obviously 51% attacks, but that's true for every network, every decentralized network. There are issues with scaling, with battery, with bandwidth. But we are not lost. We have been working on this for some time, and we have solutions for 3 or 4 of these problems. We have fixed spam to a large extent because we ran into spam issues for years, and people will flood our network. So we introduced a decentralized rate limiting system. We call it RLN. Out-of-order messages are really hard to crack. I've been working on this personally, and I don't think there is a system, like there's no mathematical model to fix the out-of-order messages. You can only fix that at UI level or UX level. With scaling, we have achieved like good systems. We can now connect to 200 or 300,000 clients simultaneously. And when we add shards, each shard should be able to connect to 200 or 300,000 clients depending on the configuration. And that would majorly solve the scaling issues. Battery and bandwidth are being worked on, and message reliability, message loss is also being worked on. When you have a decentralized system and you are propagating these messages, there are chances that your packets get lost because you are adding entropy yourself, and it is possible a client never receives your messages and nobody would know. That is rare. It doesn't happen, like mostly, but there are still some chances where you would lose these messages. For that, there has to be reliability modeling. We are working on it, but we are not there yet. Maybe we are 99% there, and we will see in the demo. So I have the app open, and I'll share my QR code. This is the same app that you have on your phone, but on my desktop, and you can probably read my private messages, so please close your eyes. And I'll share my QR code with you. If you scan the QR code inside the app, you have to do it inside the app. I'm sorry, the camera won't work. And if you send me a connection request, the message will go to the decentralized network, reach me here, and if everything works, I can see some notifications. And if it doesn't work, then I get fired because this is being recorded and my boss will watch it. No. It takes some time. It's decentralized, so it's just hopping. We can imagine it's
What's the service? Sorry, what's the network? Like, what's if I send a message once and I send a message twice, what can be the time space?
There's no guarantee on the time. There's no guarantee on the time, but it takes maybe a few seconds. Sometimes it takes more depending on the load on the network. Sometimes it never arrives, like I said, it gets lost, and sometimes it's there. But you say that we are running our company. I should actually close this chat. Yes. This is like we run our company partially on Discord and partially here. Did you get like a success when you sent the, oh, you got it? Okay. Cool. You can also like try sending me a message and it might show up. The demo gods will help me. Okay, what I'm going to do is just close this for a second. I'll start it again because if I start it again, it would have to reconnect to the nodes and it will see all the hopping messages. I have 3 minutes. I hope this works.
Anybody has a question in the meantime?
Yes,
already?
you can just have, yes, go ahead, Alina.
Yeah, so actually, like, I was wondering, I really enjoyed this. It was interesting, extremely interested. And so I was curious, why would it be harmful or dangerous that companies like Telegram, WhatsApp have our private information, our messaging, on a way like I'm a normal human being, like I don't mind it. And another thing I've been thinking about is basically if it is a crime, somebody's committing a crime and they're using any particular messenger to plan it, wouldn't it be nice to have this access to somebody's data when you're like trying to overcome crimes, blah, blah, blah?
That's a very good question. Thank you. We struggle with this in our company as well. So there's a line that we have to draw. If something is being used for crime, it should be stopped for sure. Like we should not enable crime to happen. But at the same time, if you look at UK or France, you would see what is happening there. If somebody is trying to protect their own identity, they're being executioned and summoned for that. So I don't have a strong stance on it. I feel that thing is definitely needed, but I also see it being misused. We build a system where the communications are unstoppable, and how people use it is up to them. Unfortunately, that's the stance of my company, so that's what I'll say. But personally, I like deal with this dilemma often, that what if my product is being used for something wrong? I don't have a good answer for that, but I think I got some notifications. So the demo worked. Woohoo!
Amazing. Yeah. Sorry, just one last thing. I wanted to check how long it took to build this product, basically.
This?
From idea to prototype, yeah.
The version that you see right now is probably the 15th iteration. We have been working on this since 2017. We are one of the OGs. We started right when Ethereum started. Vitalik used to push us out a lot. But in the past 2 years, there were some problems and we could not get our product going out, so we could not make a release. And just 2 weeks ago, we released version 2, which is this beautiful thing that you see here. And it seems to work. It's very reliable. And I'm going to send one of you a message, the good one. So I have accepted your contact and I can just send any message here. And this will also travel through the entire network. I hope whoever sent that receives the message. Oh, now you see notifications too. So it was just that it probably got disconnected from Waku and then it had to connect again.
All right, so yeah, we're actually running out of time. So I would say if you have any more questions for Shivek, you can talk to him after the talk. And yeah, one round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you so much.